So, what happens when a story is equal parts a decadent culinary journey and a chilling murder mystery? Well, we're about to find out by digging deep into Asako Yuzuki's incredible novel, Butter. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are sinking our teeth into Butter, a novel that's every bit as rich, complex, and unsettling as its namesake. And just a heads up, we are spoiling everything. So if you're ready for the full, delicious, and honestly disturbing story, let's get into it. And with that one line, we meet the woman at the very dark heart of our story, Manako Kajii. She's a gourmand, a true food connoisseur, and she also just happens to be on death row for conning and murdering multiple men. This is our first taste of her extreme, unyielding worldview, a philosophy built entirely around pleasure and authenticity, no matter what the cost is. Now, let's meet our protagonist, Rika Machida, a journalist whose life is pretty much the exact opposite of Manako Kajii's. And an assignment to interview this notorious killer is about to turn her entire world upside down. I mean, the contrast between these two women could not be more stark. Rika is a journalist who is completely disconnected from her own desires. She basically survives on convenience store salads, she meticulously keeps her weight under 50 kilos, and she feels, emotionally numb. Manako Kajii, on the other hand, lives entirely for sensual pleasure. She's an Epicurean whose whole life revolves around extravagant food. They are complete and total polar opposites. So, early on, this crucial symbol gets introduced through this really bizarre children's story. While searching for butter, Rika's friend Reiko brings up the tale of these tigers who just melt into butter. But they see it totally differently. Rika blames the tigers' vanity, but Reiko actually pities them. Now, this seems like a tiny disagreement, but trust me, it's going to become terrifyingly important later on. This brings us to the moment that changes Rika's entire world. Her first interview with Kahoji does not go as planned. Instead of getting a big scoop, Rika receives a commandment. Rika makes a fatal error. She mentions margarine. For Kajii, this is an absolutely unforgivable sin, and boom, the interview is over. Kajii refuses to speak to her again until Rika has experienced the real thing. Her command is simple, direct, and non-negotiable. It's not a suggestion, it's a gospel. And just look at the precision of these instructions. This isn't just about making a snack, it's a whole ritual. Kajii elevates this super simple meal to an almost spiritual experience. The butter has to be cold as shirei, the rice has to be hot, the soy sauce just a single drop. It's a lesson in appreciating taste in its absolute purest form. The impact is immediate. Rika follows the instructions and has this genuine epiphany. The taste is a complete revelation, a sensory explosion that awakens a part of herself she didn't even know was there. And in that moment, her old life starts to just dissolve. She's converted to Kajiari's philosophy of pleasure. She's totally hooked. So this culinary awakening, it starts to reshape Rika's life. As she dives deeper and deeper into Kajii's world, she finds herself being completely consumed by it, body and soul. Rika falls completely under Kajii's spell. She starts really eating for the first time in her life, gaining weight that would have horrified her old self. Her detached relationship with her boyfriend just dissolves, and her professional objectivity completely vanishes. She's not just a journalist anymore, she's a disciple, eagerly awaiting the next instruction from her guru in prison. But, as her old, sterile relationships fade, a new, much more nourishing one begins to form with Shinoi, an older colleague. He becomes this real source of support, offering guidance on the case and showing her a healthier way to connect with people through food. He provides a kind of stability that's in sharp contrast to Kajii's intoxicating influence. Okay, get ready, because everything now builds to the novel's major twists. That strange children's story about the tigers, it's coming back, and its true meaning becomes chillingly clear. Rika's best friend, Reiko, confronts her about her growing sympathy for Kajii. Rika sees a woman who just took what was offered to her, but Reiko completely shatters this illusion. She suggests that the men Kajii killed are the tigers, and that Kajii didn't just find the butter, she orchestrated their melting. And here is the biggest twist of all. Reiko, the quiet housewife, has her own dark obsession with the case. She's been secretly researching Kajii for years, fixated on this exclusive cooking school they both admired. Her whole perfect domestic life was just a facade, hiding her own deep frustrations and suppressed desires.
And then we realize the tigers aren't just the men Kajii killed. They represent an entire patriarchal society that demeans women for their appetites, whether it's for food, for sex, or for ambition. The men desired Kajia's domestic skills, but they despised her independence. So, in her own destructive way, Kajii was fighting back by consuming the very forces that were trying to consume her.
So this all leads us to the final act. Rika has been completely broken down and then reshaped by this whole experience. Now she takes everything she's learned from Kajii, from Reiko, and from Shino, and she forges a new life for herself. In a flash of inspiration, Rika decides to cook a feast. But this feast isn't to please a man or to report back to Kajii. It's for herself. The turkey, this massive, challenging, and celebratory dish, becomes the ultimate symbol of her newfound independence. And look who she invites to the table. It's not the people from her old, empty life. It's a brand new community that was built through this entire ordeal. Her friend Reiko, who's beginning to heal, her mother, her colleague Shinoi. It's a true found family, forged not by obligation, but by shared experience and genuine care. And that perfect turkey symbolizes her complete transformation. Rika has taken Kajii's lessons about pleasure and self-indulgence, but she's stripped them of all their toxicity. She has learned how to nourish herself and others, turning the destructive power of appetite into a creative, life-affirming force. But even as the feast ends in triumph, a final, haunting question from that old children's story just lingers in the air. The tale never mentioned what happened to the tiger's bones. So if there are no bones, can we ever be sure the tigers are truly gone? Or are they still out there in some other form, waiting? It's a chillingly ambiguous end to a powerful story about appetite, misogyny, and what it truly means to feed yourself.